The most dangerous lie that high-performing men believe is this: I can figure this out all on my own. You see, we pride ourselves in independence, self-sufficiency, grinding in silence. But brother, listen, isolation is not strength. It's a slow death. And today I want to talk about what I believe is the single most overlooked performance advantage in a man's life. It's going to be a powerful episode. So grab your pen. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Dad Nation podcast, the place where high-performing men are empowered to reclaim their home, their health, and their happiness while enhancing their career success. You see, in a world full of noise, burnout, and mediocrity, we believe what's missing is courageous and compassionate leadership in the home, because when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. You see, this isn't just a podcast. It's a movement for men who refuse to settle for less in their families, in their focus, and their future. We are curse breakers and we are legacy makers. I am your host, Mitchell Osmond, and I'm honored that you've chosen to invest your most valuable asset, which is your time, with me today. Now let's get into it. All right, my friends, this episode is going to be a little bit off the cuff. It's going to be a little bit shorter than normal, but it's something that I've been thinking about lately, and something that's had a tremendous impact on my life, and I want to share it with you today. Something that's often overlooked by career-driven men, by high performers, by whatever you want to call us. But before we jump into exactly what that is, I want to set us up a little bit. I want to talk to you a little bit about isolation. And why is it that men isolate seemingly by default? And it's almost instinctual. When we struggle, we withdraw. When we feel shame, we go quiet. When we feel behind, we double down. We try to fix ourselves on our own, right? But why do we do that? Well, it's because vulnerability feels like weakness, right? Because we're taught to handle your business, all right? Because we don't want to burden anyone. Because deep down, we're afraid of being exposed. So we work more. We scroll more. We lift alone. We think alone. We stress alone. And here's what's crazy. We'll ask YouTube how to fix a transmission, but we won't ask another man for help in our marriage. But let's take a look at some statistics. Let's take a look at some reality here. Since 1995, the number of men with zero close friends has jumped from 3% to 15%. 7 million working-age men in the U.S. aren't even in the workforce. They're at home, drowning themselves in distractions, substances, and other vices. The average man in the U.S. today spends about 2,000 hours per year in front of a screen. I think that's like 85 days. Listen, here's the reality. Men are lonely. They're silent. They're disconnected. That's killing us. Not loudly, but slowly. Anxiety is rising. Depression is rising. Isolation is rising, and yet we pretend we're fine. And here's the problem we find ourselves in. Once you're isolated, isolation actually becomes comfortable because it's predictable. No one challenges you. No one confronts your blind spots. No one sees your weaknesses, and that feels safe. But comfort is not growth. The hardest part about stepping into community isn't logistics. It's ego. It's admitting that maybe I don't have this dialed in, that maybe I don't know it all. Maybe I could use some support. Maybe I don't want to keep doing this alone. And for high-achieving men, that's tough to admit, because at work, you're the leader. You're the decision maker. You're the competent one. But at home, maybe you feel a little lost, disconnected. You feel behind. And that gap is exactly what creates shame. And that gap is what causes anxiety. That's what keeps you awake at night. So instead of stepping into brotherhood, we retreat further. I know this song and dance very well. But let me tell you something that's been very true in every single time in my life. Every time I hit a wall, it wasn't a book that pulled me out. It wasn't a podcast. It wasn't a YouTube video. Those helped, don't get me wrong, but they were supplements. The real breakthrough always came from people, from mentorship, from getting in rooms with stronger men, from being challenged, from being called higher. You see, 3 years into my marriage, I was 60 pounds overweight. We were 6 figures in debt. I was emotionally checked out. We were on the brink of divorce. I was numbing myself every day. I was blaming. I was playing the victim. And then one day, I'm invited to sing at the funeral of this wealthy man. He was a philanthropist. There's about 2,000 people in the room. And I'm sitting side stage getting ready to sing. And after the pastor read this man's eulogy and talked about all the things he had accomplished, he challenged the congregation with a question. He said, "Are you living a life worthy of imitation?" That question hit me like a freight train. I wasn't. You see, at that point, no one in the room would, like, if I had died, and if that was my memorial, if that was my funeral, no one in that room would have been saying, "I want the marriage he had. I want the body he had. I want the bank account he had." No one would have said that. And that was my wake-up call. Because here I was singing this song, trying to choke out the lyrics, staring at the casket of another man. And my life flashed before my eyes, the trajectory that I was on. And it wasn't a good one. And so that was the day that everything changed. That was my wake-up call. I didn't fix it alone. I sought mentorship. I got around disciplined men. I put myself in rooms that stretched me. And slowly, my body changed. My mind changed. My marriage changed. My finances changed. Within 18 months, we paid off the $100,000 of debt. We had financial peace, completely restored our marriage. I lost the 60 pounds, built muscle, was free of distractions and laser focused on my future. You know why? Not because I consumed more content, not because I magically just was motivated, but because I stepped into community. And this concept was so powerful that I actually built a framework for it called the Iron 5. And I'll walk you through it real quick. I don't know that I've ever taught this concept on the show, but here's what it is. It's the 5 roles that I believe every man needs. Number 1, and yes, it's alliteration. Every step starts with a P. Number 1 is the partner. This is the man who walks beside you. This is the man who's in battle with you. The man who knows your wins and knows your wounds. You don't have to wear a mask with him. You're fully seen and fully known. Number 2 is the protector. This is the guy who watches your blind spots. This man sees what you miss. He calls out your patterns and he calls out the stuff that will take you out if left unchecked. This is the man that speaks with truth, with grace, and with grit. Number 3 is the provider. This is the man who invests in your growth. This is a textbook coach. It's a mentor. It's a spiritual father. It's someone who's been where you want to go and is willing to open up doors, share wisdom, and shorten the learning curve, collapse the amount of time that it takes you to get to where you want to go. Harvard data shows that men with mentors increase their goal success by 33%. You see, this is not optional. It's strategic. Number 4, the pusher. This is the guy who demands your best. Now, this relationship is the most uncomfortable of all 5 because this is the guy that will not let you coast. He pulls you out of your comfort zone. He reminds you of who you said you wanted to be. Dr. John Delaney says you will never outgrow your need for challenge. If you don't have a pusher, you're not growing like you could be. And the 5th one is the pioneer. This is the guy that shows you what's possible. He is ahead of you. He's living the life that you're aiming for. His example expands your vision for what's possible. And his wins remind you that your current ceiling is someone else's starting floor. Now, let me come back to this idea of books and podcasts and all those things, because I think it's important to say this. I love podcasts. I own a podcast. I run a podcast. I listen to podcasts. I love books. I love personal development, but they're one directional. They cannot look you in the eye. They cannot call you out. They cannot ask you the hard question. They cannot hold you accountable. Community does. You see, iron sharpens iron. I talked about that a couple weeks ago. But most men today, they are dull blades, not because they lack potential, because they lack friction. There's no one sharpening them. They're not facing the heat. They're not letting the sparks fly. They're not embracing that discomfort. And today, my life is filled with community and accountability. I run my own community, but I'm also part of a marriage group that meets monthly. I have a small group of other high performers. We meet every month for breakfast. I have group chats with close brothers where we are real, open and honest with one another, where we encourage one another, we pray for one another, we're real with one another. And I also have very specific mentors in my life to help me to continue to major on the majors and to live at my highest calling. And guess what? Yeah, I have all those things. And yeah, I still listen to podcasts. I still read books. I still do research, but I don't rely on those things. Because all those things I just mentioned, I can still do those and still be in isolation. It's just a supplement to my continued growth. You see, community is the healthy, balanced meal of carbs, protein, and fats. I need that to survive. But the books, the podcasts, and other resources are the supplement. That's the protein shake. I use those to thrive. Does that make sense? Quick pause here, brother, because if your marriage feels flat, the intimacy is rare, conversations are turning tense, or deep down, you're just worried that maybe you're slowly becoming roommates, I see you. So listen in for a moment. Most marriages don't drift because guys stop caring. They just run out of energy, ideas, and clarity. And that's exactly why I created the Spark Starter Kit, which is your romance on autopilot for an entire year. It's a done-for-you system that removes all the pressure and the guessing. All right, it's 365 pre-written text messages for every situation, so you never have to stress about what to say. Just copy, paste, personalize, and watch your eyes light up. It's 52 date night blueprints, one pre-planned date for every week of the year. So all you have to do is show up and be the hero. There's 100 conversation starters that are designed to engage her and turn up the heat. So you never have to worry about the conversation getting dull or boring. And it also includes the Romance Reset, which is a 3-part mini course, which is strategically designed to take you from bored roommates to passionate soulmates. So what's the result? More intimacy, less tension. More passion, less thinking. You'll be able to meet her every need without ever having to even think about it. So if you want to get the fire back in your marriage, grab the Spark Starter Kit, okay? The link is in the show notes below. All right, now let's get back to the episode. Now, why is this so hard? Because all of this is fine and good, but why is it that we find ourselves so reluctant to do this? Sometimes it feels like you have to override your wiring. I think it's because we believe the lie of the lone wolf, right? You see, culture romanticizes the lone wolf. But here's the thing, the wolves don't survive alone. What happens when a wolf leaves the pack? They die. Brotherhood is not weakness. It's strategy. If you want a sharper body, a stronger mindset, a more passionate marriage, more presence as a father, a legacy worth remembering, you cannot build that in isolation. You need proximity to other men who refuse to settle. Because here's the thing, and I said this a couple weeks ago. Pain is inevitable. Either way, you're going to be uncomfortable. And that's the lie that we all believe. We choose the comfort of in isolation because we don't want to be uncomfortable or experience the pain of getting in front of other people, and that's scary and all those things. But the irony of this is you chase comfort enough, then that'll become painful as well. Because here's the thing, every path has pain. Marriage has pain, training has pain, leadership has pain, building wealth has pain. So does the opposite. Being out of shape is painful. Being broke is painful. Being lonely is painful. Living with regret is painful. I talked about this a couple weeks ago. There was a Polish bodybuilder named Jerzy Gregorek, and he said, easy choices now lead to a hard life later, but hard choices now lead to an easy life later. Man, and that is such a true statement. Joining community is a hard choice for many men because it forces exposure. It forces growth. It forces ownership. But isolation, that's easy. Anybody can do that, right? But it leads to a hard life later when you're struggling in your marriage, when you don't know where to turn, when you face some difficult thing in your life. You get the point. And maybe you're listening to this and you're thinking, I don't have time. Well, let me tell you this. You make time for things that matter all the time. You probably make time for hockey games or soccer games or football games or your fantasy leagues. You probably make time for Netflix. Probably make time for Instagram or Facebook. You do have time. You might be thinking, I don't need help. I got this. Well, then why are you listening to this episode? And you're probably listening to this show because you want some type of inspiration. And that should tell you in itself, reaching out could help. You might be hearing me talk about this and me thinking, I don't want to be in some cheesy men's group. Good. Neither do I. This isn't about sitting in a circle and complaining. This is about performance. This is about having standards and holding yourself to them. This is about a brotherhood. This is about execution. And I talk to a lot of guys who are on the fence about it. And, to which I would say, hey man, if you're not sure if it's for you, don't do it for you. Do it for your kids. Do it for your wife. Because they're depending on you. Right? Here's some statistics that drive me. All right, that get me focused. 1 in 4 kids in the U.S. today will grow up without a father in the home. 63% of youth suicides come from fatherless homes. 90% of homeless and runaway children come from fatherless homes. 85% of kids with behavioral disorders come from fatherless homes. 71% of high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. So what's the reality? You have an impact. Your presence is powerful. Your kids need the best version of you. Your wife needs the best version of you. And we also need each other. Because you see, when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. And this isn't just about men. This is about generational impact and the generational curses that end with us. So listen, as I wrap up this quick episode today, if you've been feeling that weight of isolation, if you're winning at work but you feel like you're losing at home, if you know there's more in you, then brother, you don't need more content. You don't need another episode. You don't need another book. You need proximity. And the high-performance husband isn't about hype. It's about putting strong men in the same room. Men who train their bodies, who strengthen their marriages, who lead their kids, who sharpen their minds, who refuse to drift. It's accountability. It's mentorship. It's brotherhood. And if you've listened this far, something in you knows that you are not meant to do this alone. Now listen, I don't care if you join my community or someone else's community, but just step out of isolation and step into intentionality, into connection, into accountability. Brother, if you're listening to this episode right now and you don't have any close friends, if you got no one who you can call up at any time of the day, or no community of men that you can go to when you're struggling, I'm begging you, man, dig into a community, get involved with someone somewhere, because your wife is not the place for it. Your kids aren't the place for it. We need to be strong anchors for them. We need to carry the weight well, and the only way to do that is to share that load with other men. So let me leave you with this sobering question that changed my life. If you got hit by a bus tomorrow, and God forbid you lost your life, what legacy would your life reflect? Would your legacy reflect isolation or impact? Would your son have a blueprint of how to live well? Would your daughter know what strength looks like? What a passionate, powerful, and courageous man looks like? Would your wife feel cherished? Listen, brother, you were made for more. Not more stress, not more distraction, more strength, more connection, more purpose. So the question isn't whether you need community. The question is whether you're ready to step into it. So brother, let's get you around the right men. And friend, let me tell you, your next level is on the other side of that decision. So I want to wrap it up. Just want to say thank you for joining me for this quick little leadership thought today. Today I had breakfast with my group of men, brothers who are also in business and doing some big things. And it was so encouraging. And I came home and I thought to myself, man, if the guys who listen to this show need to hear one thing, it's this. So thank you for joining me. Next week, you'll see me here again. I thank you so much just for being a part of this movement. Thank you so much for listening to these shows. Listen, if this episode has been impacting for you, share it with a friend. Share it with another guy who you know maybe could use some encouragement, who's kind of stuck in isolation. I'm here for you. I'm in your corner as always. See you next week. Thank you for tuning into the Dad Nation podcast today. Listen, if today's conversation challenged you, if it encouraged you or helped you level up in any area of your life, would you do me a favor? Take 60 seconds to rate and review the show on whatever platform you're listening on. This helps us reach more men who need to hear this message. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Dad Nation YouTube channel, where you're going to find full episodes, clips, and exclusive content designed to help you win at home just like you do at work. Remember, your family does not need perfection. They need your presence. Your leadership matters. So keep showing up, keep leveling up, and never forget, when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. We'll see you next time.